what are the general emotions that you're feeling when you walk into a space? Is it upbeat and lively? Is it a little bit more serious and professional? Like there's going to be different energies depending on the situation. So really being able to kind of take an introspective step into what am I walking into? Is it a happy hour networking event or is it a tech conference? There's going to be a little bit different nuances there. And Hey, boss family, it's Tanner and Kay here for another Wednesday watch. And today we're talking all about first impressions and thinking about that first impression you want to give about your business, no matter if it's in your marketing, if it's in an elevator pitch, or something else regarding business. First impressions matter, and we're here to help you get the professional edge that you need for your business and get you going and creating that very amazing first impression. So, hey, Tanner, how are you today?
I'm doing phenomenal. It's a sunny day, and that's just I can't be happier at this point. So it's good.
Good. Well, I'd love to dive in and just kind of start the conversation on first impressions. Like, what are your thoughts on first impressions and how it matters within business and especially marketing?
Oh man, I'm sure we could talk like a long time on the power of first impressions today, but I don't know if it's really changed over the years or not. But I have this feeling that first impressions matter more today than they ever have. I don't know if it's the quicker, shorter attention span that folks have, but being able to stand out in a very positive way, and come across the way that you or your business wants to come across matters a ton. Whether that's meeting somebody at a networking event, or it's connecting with people online, or reaching out on a cold call. Like all of these things matter with having that first impression. And yeah, I think it's critical in today's world.
I couldn't agree more. It's one of those things where, yes, it's like we're all kind of goldfish right now and our attention spans are so short. So it's like when you have that opportunity to meet someone, to have that first impression like created around your business and make sure it aligns with your values, who you are, what you want to bring to the world through your business. So how can we get people kind of aligned with creating that good first impression with whether it be someone at a networking event or someone they meet in an elevator and have to do a pitch on the spot?
Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too, because I know you've given this a bit more kind of thought and kind of in depth and all that kind of stuff than I have recently. But I mean, I think if I were to pinpoint a couple things that I think are really important, if I'm meeting somebody for the first time, what are the things that stand out to me? What being the consumer of this initial pitch or first impression, what is that like? And I think there's a level of professionalism and like personality. I think that matters. Like people like people, especially people who are like them and take a genuine interest in things like that. So if you can actually be personable, be professional, that sort of thing, I think that just goes a long way in general.
Mhm.
But when it comes to then, what are the first couple of things you talk about? I think asking questions if you're meeting somebody at a networking event, as an example, asking questions first before just like spewing all over them what you do. I think that that's a big piece. But then flip it over when they do ask questions, then you are at the point where you give an elevator pitch. I think being a little bit more concise and getting to the point of like, here's the very specific results that I or the business provides, not this big roundabout all of X, Y, and Z and everything that can be done, but just like, here's the results that we provide, this is how we do it. And then we can get into a little bit more detail from there as questions come up. That's what I've found as being a little bit more positive, or kind of what I tend to receive a little bit better. Now that's my opinion, but I'd love kind of to hear your take on it.
Yes, that is so true. Thinking about that professionalism and also like kind of the flow of the conversation that's going on. I always like to go into a space like reading the room and seeing how's the energy here. And that may seem a little in left field. But what I mean by that is like, how are people? What are the general emotions that you're feeling when you walk into a space? Is it upbeat and lively? Is it a little bit more serious and professional? Like there's going to be different energies depending on the situation. So really being able to kind of take an introspective step into what am I walking into? Is it a happy hour networking event or is it a tech conference? There's going to be a little bit different and nuances there. And so I'd say when you're going and meeting people, I like to let things kind of happen naturally and not force something. And I like to just start with a smile and a strong handshake and then just kind of go into a conversation. And yes, asking questions. People love to talk about where they're at. So I like to go in with, a genuine interest in what they have to say and then respond accordingly. And not think so much about pitching right away because you want to really get to know people, share stories with people, find something you can relate to within something they say. And in general, it feels like the conversations when they flow in that natural way, it makes it a lot easier when there is an opportunity to maybe collaborate or pitch, or you might have a solution to something that they're trying to solve. When those conversations happen more organically, it's going to allow them to feel more secure in with you. They're going to feel like they know you a little better. So that's how I like to approach it off the bat, is like come in with an open mind, open to having a real conversation, and save the pitching till the time is right. Or maybe it ends up not being a pitch at all. Maybe it's something that you have a friend that has a business that would be a great fit for them, or maybe they have a solution for you. So go in with a very open mind, and open, kind of like open eyes to any conversation.
I think you kind of hit it right on the head there. It's called an elevator pitch, an elevator speech, whatever it is, right? But at the end of the day, nobody wants to be pitched, especially if they're just meeting you. The only way you can pitch something is if you know that they actually have a need that you can solve. So, like the closest that we really should be getting to is stating, here's the results I provide for these types of people. If they identify with that, all right, now we've got some opportunity. If they don't identify with it, there's no reason to pitch them because it doesn't go in the right direction then. Uh, there's two things that come to mind as you were kind of going through that. One is an experience that I've seen over and over and over again that I think is maybe relevant for the conversation, but the other one is follow up. And oftentimes, what I notice is the first impression extends beyond that first like interaction. If I'm meeting somebody at a networking event and I get their contact information, or you know if I get their contact information, I've given them my contact information, and we leave there. I am like shocked at the number of people that have taken my information and never send a follow up, ever.
Yes.
Now, I take 5 business cards, I take whatever it is, I've got their contact information. At minimum, I'm going to send them a quick note that just says, "Hey, it was great meeting you. If you've got an opportunity, I'd love to chat with you a little bit further, find out where we could do some things together, learn how you can solve some of my problem, whatever it is, right? About
Mhm.
them." But I'm going to send them some sort of follow up because that matters. It matters to actually be person to person relationships. Like I just went and met 20 people.
Mhm.
I kind of want to actually have met 20 people, not I went and picked up 20 business cards and maybe one day I'll see them again somewhere else. Like that to me does not, create a good first impression. So I think
Mhm.
extending beyond that first interaction and having some level of follow up doesn't have to be a, let's go hang out all the time, but just a genuine person to person connection saying, "Hey, I'm acknowledging that we've actually made a human connection here, and would love to kind of be in conversation at some point down the road in the future."
Oh, I love that you said that. I kind of look at that as planting good seeds, because those follow-ups really matter, even if it is just a thank you. Thank you for your time. That conversation was great. I was really inspired by what you said. And then when you do, like, even if it's not like a pitch or like a next step, it can sometimes be like you run into them later, or maybe they refer you to somebody. So I always try to do that too, planting good seeds. And it's a learning curve all the time. There's sometimes I'll go to a networking event, I'll get 20 cards and I'll feel so overwhelmed that I'm like, I don't know what to do. So, but I do like to organize a system around how am I going to get these people into my database? Maybe I bring my QR code with me and get them signed up at least onto my newsletter while I'm at the event. And if they seem interested in what I have to offer, I say, "Oh, we put out a weekly newsletter. I'd love for you to engage with our community on there. And you can always email me. My phone number is there, my email's on the newsletter. It's me behind the screen. Like, you always welcome them to say hi." And so that's a way that I've kind of helped keep the ball rolling, especially with the more casual introductions. If it is something that is more like there could be really a development for something really big here, those contacts I'm a little more proactive, but I like to kind of at least engage everybody to some degree because you never know and say thank you to everyone. But then some of those other ones I really do get on the ball about a follow-up. So I think that's helped me to kind of navigate if you get 20, 30, 40, you know, people you meet, how do you engage with them? How do you find the which ones are more priority? And maybe some are more like just like someone you want to be in contact with. So those are a few ways I've helped to kind of mitigate those feelings of overwhelm when you meet a lot of people at once.
I like that. Those are some really practical tips. I'd love to share kind of the other side of some of this that I've experienced probably a little bit more recently.
Mhm.
But it makes me think of, extending this first impression from, like, if you're a business owner and you're watching this, eventually at some point, if you don't already, you'll have some team out there that is, networking or connecting on your behalf. They're representing your business. And what is the first impression that they're, out there presenting for people that could be doing business with you? And unfortunately, the thing that I've seen a bunch of is individuals that do go directly into their pitch,
Mhm.
that just don't paint a very good picture. So I'll share kind of two examples that, take these as lessons learned. Don't do these types of things. It causes a really bad, like, first impression. The first one is, we've had, a number of, door knockers, whether it's solar companies or whatever, that come up to our door. Like, okay, I'm not always a huge fan of that, just personally, but it's always interesting to hear how these people enter into a conversation. And I'd say maybe 90% of them immediately go into a pitch.
Mm.
They haven't even pre-qualified to say, hey, do you have X, Y, and Z? Is this a problem that makes sense to you? And then actually have a human to human, interaction. They just go into a straight pitch that's like, you're assuming I lived here for like 6 months. I've been here for 3 years. Like, this isn't even relevant to me. But you didn't ask the question. They just come off with this really bad first impression. Then I don't have a very good impression of that company overall. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, that's a problem if you've got team members that are out there that are inexperienced, that haven't been properly trained, that haven't gone through that kind of stuff. Um, so that's one example I've seen, but the other one, this one really got me, and it's cold calls. And I don't know about you, my phone continues to just like blow up recently with the
Mhm.
number of telemarketing calls out there. So every once in a while, I'll answer them and I'll talk to the individuals. I mean, these are real human beings on the other end of the line most of the time. So I'm curious on kind of how they go through their process. And man, this one really, like, frustrates me. This is why I'm sharing it. But I'd gotten two calls, a couple calls, but I answered two of them from this one telemarketing agency that was working for an individual. And this individual, turns out later on, I found out, is in the marketing space, like, supposed to be really, really big and good at marketing and all that kind of stuff. And his telemarketing team left a very poor impression.
Mm.
Um, Trying to get a meeting set, things like that. So I asked some clarifying questions. The person on the other end of the line got flustered and hung up on me. It's like, okay, that's not a very good impression.
Mm-mm.
Uh, so then they call back the next day and said, "Oh, that's great. I'd love to continue this conversation because the team just hung up on me. Is that common? Does that usually happen?" He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for that." Um, and then they don't follow up with me after that call. And there's no follow up. There's nothing else that's happening. So I've actually reached out to this person on LinkedIn, said, "Hey, I just got off the phone with a couple of your team members. Is this a common occurrence? I just kind of like want to talk to you about it, like, really human to human." No
Mhm.
response, none. And I'm sitting
Wow.
here going, this is a terrible, terrible first impression, to the point
Mhm.
where this individual could be a phenomenal marketer and could do amazing things for our business. I don't know, maybe, but I will never consider it because of the first experience that we've had. And it happened multiple times. It's like, that is the power of, properly training and guiding your team and things like that, because they can
Mhm.
be immensely powerful in being able to bring people into your sphere of influence, or they could have a very, very negative way and actually lose money for you as a business owner. So there's kind of my experience, seeing different things. I'm sure I've done a lot of it in the past too, where I was inexperienced and I had some bad first impressions of people. Like, I'm human. It happens. But being able to see it all the time is just, it's painful because I know that if that was
Mhm.
my team member, I'd want to do something else to help them be better and
Mhm.
give a better first impression. That's how important it is. That's how much it matters, or I feel it matters in the world today.
Oh, 100%. I couldn't agree more. And it sounds like you too went even above and beyond of like, reaching out and trying to, you know, like get the other team members to be engaged or talk to them and things. And yeah, it really comes down to too that like I think about the words quality control. And especially when it's like I'm thinking about my team or if I'm representing a team, like how can I be my best at that? And I think that's where, yes, as individuals, as business owners, as employees, as entrepreneurs, even,
Hmm.
it's important for us to say, how can I bring my best to the table? How can I educate myself to represent what I'm talking about the best to my abilities? And then also extend that to if you're a leader on your team or if you are running your business to extend that to your teammates and encourage them as well. And that's something that I'm always working on too. It's again, I know I reference this a lot, but it's a lot like dating or getting to know people. You're trying to put yourself out there and put a good foot forward, and we don't want to be ghosting our potential partners, people. So
No.
think about that. But I think it's a thing that we can always ask questions to like our fellow peers. Y'all can reach out to Tanner or I at any time, especially on this Facebook group. That's what we're here for. If you have any questions on these topics of, you know, marketing yourself in this way, creating that good first impression, as well as that follow up impression, because that I think right now can be your secret sauce to success because rates are so high of people dropping off after that first impression. So I think you have a huge opportunity by following up.
100% agree. And we've got a couple things coming up here in the near future, I believe, with regards to elevator pitch and some things here specifically for the community. Why don't you give us just like a super quick preview, and then of course we'll share some additional details as the next couple weeks unfold.
That sounds wonderful. Yes, we are going to be having a presentation here on the Boss community. Myself and fellow team member Jody are going to be talking about your elevator pitches and how to create that elevator pitch that represents your brand, that's easy for you to share and make you feel super confident when when you're talking about your business. And it just gives you those secret sauce to success to help you not feel nervous when pitching and have it come off completely authentic. We're going to be rolling that out in July and it's completely free. So come on out. We'll definitely be in touch with more dates, when the date is going to be. And yeah, I hope to see you there so we can chat and I can hear about you and your business and help you create that elevator pitch that you're looking for.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for it. I'll just reiterate that for those that are watching and listening. Definitely, as the information comes out, make sure you jump on that. You know, we're looking at continuing to provide a lot of value for the Facebook community here, and the more that we can do that and provide some things back to you for being here and continue to support us. That's why we do it. So, Kaywood and I will be sharing more information as it gets closer here in the next few weeks.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tanner. This has been an incredible Wednesday watch. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll definitely see you again next week.